Hey, Mindset Functional Athletes crew, you'll notice that the quality of this video is pretty shoddy, and that's because I'm about to switch over and show you some slides. Because of, I basically realized the value of the podcast that I recorded yesterday was immense. So to kind of keep that going and to give you in the group something that is kind of punch in short, and also a really good idea of what's in the coaching cert as well. I thought I'd record this because it's going to be so helpful for all of you in your, whether you're an athlete who wants to master their mindset. This is the fundamentals of mindset that you need to understand. If you are a coach that wants to understand mindset as well, this is what you need to understand. This is why this is the kind of foundation of mindset knowledge that you can pass on to your athletes, or just kind of understand for yourself. And if you want to work for Mindset Rx as well, this gives you a really good idea of what's in the coaching cert and how to go about that. So let me, if any of you do join the coaching cert, what you'll notice is I fuck around for a long time with this, and technology is not my friend. So let me share the screen. And this is what I can do. I ramble whilst I'm pressing buttons and hope that it covers up my ineptitude with technology. Anyway, so what you should be able to see, if I make myself a bit larger as well, and honestly, I must have done this maybe well over 300 times right now. Delivered lectures in this way, or deliver lectures, that was very formal. Delivered teachings in this kind of way. But anyway, I'm here, I'm doing this, and you guys are going to get a massive treat. This is, let me place you on this. This is phase 2, where we start the knowledge and the application phase. I'll kind of combine the 2 phases, or the final 2 phases, into one longer phase in the current coaching cert. This right here is where the coaches have worked on their own mindset for long enough now that they should be able to start coaching, be in a really good place to begin working on other people and to build their knowledge up. So first of all, we gain knowledge of a system, or knowledge of a certain area, module, and then we move on to basically applying it. This is where we are now. It says module 2 there. The first one's all the principles of coaching and the valuable stuff like this. But I want to give you something very much more tangible, I think. So let's talk about knowledge, and let's talk about the internal power. And this, by the way, is so important you get in your mindset journey. So first thing we have to do, let me move myself about. The first thing we have to do is understand fixed versus growth mindset. And I'm sure this is something that you folks have become aware of because you're aware of mindset as a whole. What we need to understand is a few things. Firstly, the definitions of fixed versus growth mindset. And then secondly, the more of the neurological side of it, how it actually happens, because that actually dictates a lot of what we talk about in the rest of the course. So if we're covering old ground for you on fixed versus growth, stick along, because you'll learn some nuance, or you'll see a different perspective, but also you'll see how it pertains in a more philosophical view as well. So fixed versus growth mindset. Fixed mindset is essentially where someone believes that I am as good as I'll ever be. I am the type of person that I'll always be. So if we transfer that to the CrossFit, or the world of CrossFit, just to give you a referenceable point, and we take the marathon row that's just been released as, I think it's individual event 4, there's going to be so many athletes there thinking, oh, I'm shit at rowing. Maybe not so many in that capacity, but if you took a general population and said, okay, we're going to do a marathon row, they'd be thinking, I'm shit at rowing. They could also be thinking as well, just to really kind of go meta on the fixed mindset side of things, they could be thinking something along the lines of, oh, but I always give up in longer events. They could be thinking they might have a fixed mindset in regards to mindset as a whole. They may think, okay, I'm this type of person and I always struggle with this. So basically, and then when that applies to the general population as well, whether they are general population who compete to some level, or who are fitter than most and who work across it, or just the general population who wants to kind of lose weight and healthier. This could be, I always self-sabotage at the weekends. I'm always negative to myself. So you have this fixed mindset, and the basic concept of it is, if you have a fixed mindset, you believe you're always going to be the same, and there's no changing it. And then we have a growth mindset as well. A growth mindset is pretty much the opposite. It understands, someone with a growth mindset understands that who we are is flexible and changeable, and the stimuli that we give us of ourselves is want to change, and therefore, because we change the stimuli that we give ourselves, we change who we are as a fundamental human being. Basically, they understand that your personality traits, the things that you're good and bad at, your skill set is all changeable. And if we change that, then we change the outcome. And they know that who they are now is not who they're going to be in 10 years, 5 years, 10 months even. And that is changeable. Knowing this means that you don't give up, because if you think you're in a fixed mindset, or if you think that you're always going to be the same, then what's the point of trying? Whereas if you know that you as a human being, in both your skill set and your mindset, can change, then we know that like it's worth trying, because if we try, we're going to create change. And the way, one of the many systems that this works through is the process of myelination. And this, like you'll see there from the diagram, that we have basically the different neurons, and between them we have connections. So we're not going to go into too many technical terms, because we don't really need it. So you have the connection between the different neurons in the brain. Just to give you an idea of how many neurons there are in your brain, there's more neurons or more connections and synapses in space. There's more connections in your brain than there are stars in the universe. And to give you an idea of how many stars in the universe there are more stars in the universe than there are grains of sand on Earth. Just think about that for a moment. And then there's more connections in your mind, or possible connections in your brain, in that than there are stars in the universe. So just consider that. And each one of those connections has, or the different roots essentially can link up to a different behavior, or different thought, different expression of genetics, different biochemical output, like whatever it is. They all have different outputs. And for this purpose, we'll look at mindset, that we can think of them all linking into different ways of feeling, different thoughts, different emotions, different actions. So the more times that a certain behavior is performed, the more times the connection along them is fired along. So when we fire, we wire is the phrase that's basically said a lot here in neurology. So when neurons fire between them, they strengthen the connection between them, meaning you're more likely to behave that way in the future. And you can, because essentially it's a more stable connection, it's a practice connection. What happens is, you can see, like kind of in the middle of the screen, the exploded bit of the diagram, is that myelin sheath, the thing that wraps around it. And this acts like an insulator that protects it and also speeds up the connection between the two, and therefore makes the behavior much more likely to perform. And that's kind of a scientific view. But a kind of a better analogy in terms of or in terms of like something you can relate to, is this, which is like you see this field here, you see that path going straight through the middle, and you can imagine that, or that meadow, sorry, not field. You can imagine you walk through that path, and then you end up at a well, okay? And at that well is the water that you take from. And basically, when you go to the well, take the water, it serves you a purpose. And this can be analogous to basically you performing a certain behavior, having a certain mindset, whatever you want, like eating crap food or eating good food, but let's, for now, keep it as a non-serving behavior. So you walk that path, you go to that non-serving behavior, and you can imagine if you walk down that path on that slide, if you walk down that path every single day for a couple of years, can you imagine how delineated that path would be? It would, there'd be no grass growing on, and eventually there would be no kind of foliage leaning over. But that path, that connection, the way to walk to get to what we're going to call well A is easy to traverse. You go up and down all day, then you go there. So what happens though when that behavior becomes non-serving, when it doesn't help you out anymore, or you realize in the analogy here, you realize that water is tainted or the water has run out. So the behavior you're performing is no longer helpful. So what happens when that happens? Like, you've got to find a new well, and say the other well is on the other side of that image, or in a completely opposite direction. So you've got to now go through the different path. You've got to forge your own path. And you can imagine whilst you're walking the original path, like path A, time and time again, the rest of this foliage grows up. It's not mown or anything. Like, and this is the equivalent of your neural connections, like not firing, and therefore your behavior is not being practiced. So all this meadow can just grows up, and now you've got thick thorns, and like it's a struggle to get through it. Now, however, you've got to realize you've got to go to well B. So you walk to well B, and you can imagine this is a struggle because now you're battling like waist high or shoulder high foliage, and it's thick, and it's a struggle. You're pushing through, and you get that bucket, you fill it up from that well. Like you think, oh great, you come back, you probably spill a lot, which is analogous to the behavior not coming off exactly as you wanted because you haven't practiced it enough. So you walk in that path, you get back, and you have like half a bucket of water. Then the next day, like, so you've done it once. It's the equivalent of the behavior being very difficult to perform. So like eating good food at the weekend, for example, or hydrating the right amount, or even training as much as you should do, or even training with the intensity you should do, or getting rid of negative emotions, or whatever the mindset side of it is. So you walk that path once. The next day, it's like, okay, fuck, I've got to do that again. And you remember how difficult it is. You remember how tiring it was. You remember that you didn't fill the water bucket fully, and you spilled most of it on the way because it was new. And you look at that path and you think, you know what? I might go down the clearly delineated path A again, just to check whether that behavior works or that behavior serves me. So you walk it, and like it doesn't work, so you go, okay, I've got to go to the path B again. And through time after time after time, what you'll notice is that path eventually, the new path eventually becomes clearer. And yeah, sure, there's going to be traces of the old path, but over time and over the 7 years or so it takes your body to completely replace every cell in your body, the old path will wear out and become far less obvious, to the point of you may not even remember what it's like to feel like that anymore, to want to go down that path. And the path that you want to take to path B becomes more and more repetitive and clearer. There's a quote that I'm going to bring up in a second. And the important delineation here is we can look at this analogy as path A and path B, to behavior A and behavior B. Or we can look at it in a much more general level. That first well can be looked at as looking for an external source of overcoming your hardship. Okay, what I mean by that is we look for nutrition plans, we look for strength programs, we look for hydration programs. I think there's such thing as it existed until the other day, just drink your water. We look for, like, on a mindset level, we download Headspace. We start journaling even though we don't know what we're doing. We look for external sources to fix our faults and to fix our internal issues and external issues. We try and find it in blog articles, in podcasts, in like basically anything external. We look for the quick, easy solution, and we look for something that is external and easily accessible. That path B, the difficult path there, that is looking within yourself, trying to understand that the reason you're in the mess you are now, to whatever degree that is, whether you can't train hard enough, whatever it is because we don't know ourselves well enough. That road, the untrodden path, is the steps along the way to becoming the type of person you want to be through knowing yourself. It's only through knowing yourself that you will find the answers that you need. It's only through knowing yourself that you'll realize where you're self-sabotaging. And this is, just like I spoke about, so hard. This is the equivalent of wading through shoulder-deep brambles and thorns and shit, and just like spilling all the water on the way, because it's really uncomfortable. And even if you're just trying to get fitter, you're going to uncover some shit that's horrible, and you're going to uncover some shit that you're not proud of and that you'd rather not see in yourself. But by walking that path, it becomes more familiar. And by walking that path, You learn to understand yourself and why you self-sabotage. And eventually, by walking that path, you become the type of human that you know you are capable of being. That is the internal power. Knowing that you can traverse that path and learning to look within yourself to overcome whatever is standing in your way. We need to learn to become more introspective, more reflective, and understand ourselves better. That is the way we walk that path time and time and time again. And the quote that sums us up that my mentor Brian Grasso points out to me is this. Let me move me out of the way. Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. So let's break that down a bit. Your vision will become clear. You will only see the world as it actually is, instead of with your internal biases that you've built up and your influence that's created all these stories and beliefs in your head. You will only remove yourself from those beliefs once you start looking inside yourself to release yourself from that. So you will only see the world with perspective when you understand yourself better. Who looks outside dreams? So this is where we spend ourselves, so many of us spend our time. Who looks outside dreams? So we're looking for external sources to our problems. And what we realize when we do that, or what we probably don't realize actually, what we actually do when we're looking outside for our dreams and for a solution, is we're dreaming about the possibilities. We're thinking, oh, it would be great if I could. This would be the perfect example if I could. But who looks inside, who really understands themselves, awakes. This is where, in a philosophical sense, the phrase of enlightenment, but in a much more applicable sense, you just get the shit done that you want to get done. Like, you become who you want to become. You achieve the things you want to achieve. Your dreams become reality because you understand yourself better. You understand where you're self-sabotaging. You understand all the negative stuff. You understand where you're negative. You understand where you can't succeed. You understand your limitations. You also, in looking within yourself, you understand and you learn the internal power. You learn who you are, and you learn just how capable you are. And the rest of the Mindset Rx'd Coaching Certification is the process of learning, firstly, to look within inside yourself for the answers, and then teaching others to do so. And when you do this, you as a human being thrive. And the change that you create with other people, I can't quite put this into words. I can't quite describe it well. The change you create with other people is phenomenal. It's stunning. It's just incredible, the change that you make, because you change who these people believe they are. And once you do that, they achieve the things they want to achieve. They release themselves from the reasons they haven't been successful. And that is the rest of the coaching cert. Today, by the way, is the last day. Let me bring this up or stop sharing anyway. Today, by the way, is the last day of the early bird discount. So if you want to make the most of that, let me know. The course starts on August the 20th, and the spaces are filling up. So if you want to get involved, shoot me a message or comment below on this, and I'll speak to you very soon.